Hello, welcome back to the shed in the garden at the house that sat down. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've done several tutorials covering aspects of sketching and watercolour painting and acrylic painting. So the next couple of demonstrations are going to be simple, fun pieces that put some of those skills together, and I hope you enjoy them. For this project, we're going to create a very small textured canvas, as I've shown you previously. And as soon as that's completely dry, we're going to start painting on that using some white, titanium white acrylic, and also a couple of shades of blue. I think we're going to start with some processed cyan, which is a gorgeous blue, and then some of this cerulean blue. And I'm going to use this thick bristled brush so that I can work the paint right into the texture of the canvas that's been created with the tissue paper and the PVA glue. So we're starting with white. Start at the top of the canvas and start working the paint down towards the bottom of the canvas. I do like to mix my colours on my canvases. For this particular piece it works really well. Starting with white and then mixing some of that lovely cerulean blue in. Gives it a really, really nice light blue colour, although that's a little bit dark for me, so I'm going to mix some more white in. And keep working in white and blue patches as we move down the canvas. A bit more white going on there. Now the upper end of the canvas is going to be lighter than the lower end of the canvas, so as we move down the canvas, more and more blue textures are going in. But I don't think I like that particular blue there, so I'm going to stop using that for the time being and move back to the cerulean blue. The nice thing about these acrylics, of course, is if you use a colour that you don't like, simply let it dry, and then you can go over the top with whatever you like, really. As the colours that I'm using are blue anyway, I'm just going to keep on mixing until I'm happy with the result. And I do want a fairly streaky effect crosswise. So I'm constantly using the brush in a crosswise action. A little bit more blue, a little more white, a little bit patchy, and significantly darker at the bottom of the canvas. And then I'm going to leave it to dry completely. Right, there we have our base finished. That actually gives you a really nice textured water, with the idea being that this is the shallow water at the top here where the sunlight's coming in, and this is the deep water down at the bottom where you've got the darker blue colours. And over the top of that, when it's completely dry, we're going to be painting the silhouette of a fish. Now we're going to deal with silhouettes of fish because we don't actually want too much detail. So these are some that I printed off from the computer just to give me an idea of the shapes that we might see with fish silhouettes. And I quite like this curved one here. It'll give us a bit of interest in order for working out the interplay of shadows and highlights. So there we have a very simple fish shape that I'm quite happy with. Now we're going to be looking at a sort of shading that we are going to use on the actual painting. We're going to use a mix of two colours, silver for the side of the fish that the light is hitting, and then Payne's grey or a form of grey-blue mix that is going to be on the underside of the fish that's away from the light, bearing in mind that light is coming in from the surface of the water. So I'm going to put my fish shape on the canvas at a slight angle so that we can actually get a nice layer of light down one side of it to give the contrast and make it a nice rounded shape. So for example, if the light is coming down from the surface of the water like this, I would expect my darker section to be down that side like that, and the lighter section will be over here on this side of the fish itself. So I'm going to put quite a thick layer of dark paint down this side of the fish to contrast with the light on this side, and then once I've got the two sides contrasted, in the middle there will be a nice mix of the two paints. So we'd have more silver than dark here, but more dark than silver here, so that we will go in a graduating depth from this side to this, which will make our fish actually look like he is moving in the sunshine within the water. Let's have a little go at that and see how I get on. Right, you can see that I'm starting to block out my fish shape onto the canvas. And you have to work quite carefully to get the actual paint into the textured canvas. And actually when I came to it, I found I didn't have the Payne's grey colour that I wanted. So I'm mixing the darker section using black acrylic paint, white acrylic paint, and some of this cerulean blue, which I'm just adjusting the shades of it as I go along, but I still want the bottom section of the fish to be darker. So I'm just putting a base layer on at the moment, but later on I will be putting the depth into the fish as it comes. And I'm not putting silver on just yet, because I've got a lovely blob of silver here to use on the upper end as a highlight right at the end. It isn't quite working in the way that I explained previously, because obviously I don't have the paints that I wanted, but it's just an example of how flexible you can be with art, because none of it really matters as long as you enjoy what you're doing. And I'm making it up as I go along, and it seems to be working. It really helps to keep your brush upright in order to work the paint into all the little crevices that have been created by the texture of your canvas, so that you haven't got any little holes. But my fish is taking shape now. I need to put some of the trailing sections of the fins on it, and then the silver. I'm quite happy with my little fish as he is, but actually just to add a little extra sparkle, I'm going to put a little bit of this, it's called glamour dust, but it's effectively glitter for artists, and it's really, really fine glitter. So while the paint is still wet, I'm just going to sprinkle some of that into it and give it a chance to set and see what happens. Hopefully that'll make my little fish glimmer and sparkle in the sunshine. So if we blow that away, and I have get a little closer, hope you can see the glitter on there, but I think he looks rather sweet. But all really remains now is for me to sign it and maybe pop it into a little frame. And there you have it, a fun and simple way to paint fish. I hope you'll join me next time when I'll have another project to put together for you. In the meantime, look after yourselves.